Hi everybody, so here we're looking at Edulastic. We're going to be talking about how to review your quizzes and your tests. Right here I am actually acting as a student. When you first sign in, you would see your assignments first, and currently there are no assignments that are open for this person. But if we were to go to this side tab here, we want to look at grades. So this person has had a lot of things done already. This was from first quarter. You would first usually see this all grades. What you're going to want to do is locate this graded tab. Now we're going to talk about our week 1 quiz. So let's go ahead and click review. And then you would go ahead and either click down here for review responses, or you can click up here for review responses. Either one will take you to that question. So your question for this quiz was to match all of these words to its correct diagram. A was a line because it has 2 arrows on either end. B was a line segment because it had 2 endpoints. C was a ray because we see the endpoint with the arrow continuing on. D, we have a plane. We didn't talk too much about this, and we're not going to put too much emphasis on planes, but just notice that it is a 2D kind of flat thing here. E is a point, it's just a singular point there. F would have been your angle, where 2 rays share same endpoint. G is your line again with 2 arrows on either side, and H is another ray, 1 endpoint and 1 arrow going to the other end. And that's all you had for your quiz week 1. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about your week 2 quiz. So let's go and click week 2 to review. We're going to go ahead and click review responses again. So it says, number 1, which diagrams show parallel lines? And it wasn't very clear in this question, but it should have been a select all. Whenever in Edulastic you see these boxes instead of circles, that means it's a select all instead of a multiple choice, which is why this person got one of them wrong. We also talked about that for parallel lines, you have to have these arrows that are on top of the line, like this, to prove that they're parallel. That's why letter D is not parallel. We have no arrows through the lines to indicate that they are parallel. F is also an answer for lines being parallel because we see that it is a square, and one of the properties of a square is having opposite parallel sides. Okay. In order to go on to the next question, you would have to go over to this drop-down menu and go on to the next question. Now we're looking for perpendicular lines, and the only way that we can say that they're perpendicular is if it has this square in the corner to show that they are right angles or 90-degree angles. So A as well as D were the only 2 answers for this question. Question 3 was, in your own words, describe the difference between parallel and perpendicular lines. I needed to see something about parallel lines never touching. You could have also thrown in that they have the same slopes. Perpendicular lines, I'm looking for intersecting lines, and they intersect at a 90-degree or right angle. That's the very important part. Perpendicular lines aren't simply lines that cross each other. We could have also talked about their slopes being the opposite inverse of each other, as this student did. Moving on to question 4, we see, in your own words, describe what it means to bisect a line segment. So, as this person stated, for me, it means to place a marker like a line at the middle of the line segment to show where the line segment's midpoint is, which is something that works. Really, what I'm looking for when bisecting a line is that you're cutting a line segment in half. That's what it means to bisect a line segment. Last question here is, can you bisect a line? Why or why not? So remember, a line has arrows on both ends and extends infinitely in both directions. That means there's no end to either side of the line, which means we don't ever know if a certain point could be the middle of that line. Therefore, we cannot bisect a line. Now that's all of your questions that you had for this week 2 Check for Understanding quiz. Hopefully that made a little bit more sense with that explanation. If you need to go back, make sure you do rewind this video and go back to any of the pieces that you need to.